Okay, so we have now walked through 21 days of journaling and affirmations with doing it with the process of catching a vision. And while I would love to walk through visions and what that would look like, maybe we'll do 21 days of catching a vision. But I don't want to miss the fact that the whole reason why we walked through visions with journaling and affirmations was to help you get into the habit of journaling. You see, when you catch a vision when you catch it and you are so hooked on it and you can't let it go, you can't help but write it down and write through it, or at least speak life over it. It was funny when I was planning for this class tonight, I kept thinking, oh my word, so much of what I want to share with you guys is really a culmination of belief, of speaking life, of mental spring cleaning. I feel like a one-trick pony, but I just kind of spread it all out into a whole bunch of different intervals. So, which is kind of cool because the human mind has to hear something 12 times before you can actually receive the information and take it as your own, which is interesting. So I'll say that again. So for example, if you hear, hey, drinking your full body weight of water every day is actually best for optimal health. Now if that's the first time you've ever heard that, now you're going to need to hear it 11 more times for you to say, hey, I probably should drink my whole 100 and whatever pounds I weigh in body weight, in ounces, I mean, oh my gosh, please don't drink 100 and whatever pounds of water. That doesn't even match. Like, that's not even a thing. It's ounces. So in any case, when you hear the things that I share in this group, you're going to be hearing it 12 times, but possibly in 12 different ways. Which brings me to the whole reason for affirmations and journaling. Here's the thing. If I could sum up why someone would need to journal, why we need to speak affirmations, it's just simply in one word, it's reminders. It's just reminders. But they're reminders that are so powerful. I just had this thought about journaling. I'm going to jot it down so I don't forget. It's good. This is a good thought, by the way, so I know it's not from me. It's from God. I'm certain of that. We'll touch on affirmations first. Because affirmations, we talked about it speaking life. It goes with our beliefs. But here's what I think that people don't grasp. We're constantly telling ourselves affirmations all the time. But the challenge comes in with, is it positive affirmations or is it negative affirmations? You see, I think in our culture, when we talk about, affirmations or mantras or whatever you want to call them, speaking life, what we don't realize is we're speaking affirmations, mantras to ourselves every day. Now, we're not speaking life every single day, all day long. Well, I like to try to do that, or not try. That is my goal. But it's not just because it goes like this. Your brain you have about 30,000 plus thoughts a day. These are the things that just roll in your mind. We capture about 10% of that. And so these are the thoughts that we actually grasp, okay? So depending on the situation, I'm just going to be generous and say maybe we speak about 1,000 affirmations to ourselves. An affirmation is just something that we say that strengthens our brain. Strengthens our brain. One thing that I have left out that this literally just came to me today when I speak about affirmations is it can strengthen your brain towards the good, the positive, the godly, the life-giving, or it can strengthen your brain towards the ugly, the evil, the destruction. Affirmations, by definition, is a way to strengthen the mind. That is all. And as I had that realization, I thought, oh my word, wow. So when I speak any kind of negative, I'm strengthening my mind towards that negativity. That's that. When I speak and dwell and meditate on things that are positive, life-giving, high frequency, I'm strengthening my brain towards that. It's so powerful. So for anybody who walked through this season of affirmations and journaling, and maybe writing affirmations or coming up with them were a little tricky, well, just know that your brain does it all day long. So really it's just a simple case of just saying it, saying whatever, thinking whatever in a positive light. Yes, Terry says, work that brain muscle, but work it for the good. Work your brain muscle for the good. This is affirmations, and these, my friends, this is so powerful. So powerful. We had a situation yesterday in my family. I love to tell my family stories because I feel like God uses us as such an example of, here, do this. Hey, don't do that. You know what I mean? It goes both ways with our family. And we had I'm not going to lie, I sat halfway through the day, it's probably about 3 o'clock. I'm like, oh, man, I wish this had all happened during my 21 days of miracles, because I saw miracle after miracle. I was a part of a miracle. It was one of those things where there's a little bit of kerfuffle. I'm like, what is happening right now? And it all just, miracles were swirling. It was interesting. And my daughter, something didn't work out in the way she had hoped at the end of it all. And she was like, oh, we wasted our day and this still didn't happen. And I'm like, what? What? Were you not there? Were we not in the same situation? And I can understand why she was upset. I didn't want to discount that. But we saw miracles. You see, I am so inclined to have my brain think in the positive, that even if there's one negative thing that happens, all I can think of is the positive. It's all I can think of. It's literally it's what I want to think of. We have had so much rain in North Texas, and Sherry can vouch, like maybe there's some in South Texas too, that our lake, not my own lake, but the lake that we live on, is creeping ever closer to my home. There's trees that are halfway underwater. It's the weirdest thing. And I hear everybody say, oh, no more rain. No, it's so muddy. It's so this. And I'm like, I'm so grateful for God's abundance. Because rain in ancient times, up until the Industrial Revolution, was a sign of his blessing and his abundance, because they were going to get crops. They were going to be able to drink water. Our well that we drink from, because we have well water, is so full, and it's probably never going to run dry now. So yes, there's some mud, but I hardly notice it, because I notice, wow, that lake is so full. It looks like an ocean right now. It's powerful. Getting yourself accustomed to speaking life-giving affirmations will propel you to the season of life that you want. In one of the intervals, I'm not remembering right now, but in one of them I shared Proverbs 4. I believe it's verse 23, somewhere around there, one of the 20s. And it talks about whatever you, like, to guard your mind, right? Guard your heart, because out of it flow the seasons of life. So we create our seasons. But even when we're walking through valleys, because life happens and valleys come, it's such a great and incredible way that we can work our brain muscles, as Terry said, and strengthen our mental stamina, our hope, and our faith. But when those valleys come, we can feel like we're in a perpetual spring. That's what life-giving, positive affirmations will do for you. And this is why I believe that the Lord chose this topic paired with journaling for just this time. We're about to head into a new season. Today on the Jewish calendar, tonight begins a new month, and it's a new moon. For those of you who track the moon, you understand that this is a new season. This actually begins summer. We don't have to wait another 10 days. This is summer. Summer is here tonight. And so what we know is that this is a season of preparation. And it's really cool because if you have just walked through journaling and affirmations and really grasping and figuring out what all that looks like, you understand that you are now, you have all these tools for these last 21 days. You would be wise to take the next several months, couple months maybe, and really prepare for fall. I did not realize the fire eclipse was this morning. Darn, that's okay. You would be wise to do that because in the fall, we always, whether you follow the Hebrew calendar or whatever it does, I mean, I think we all do the Gregorian calendar. It's what our whole world goes off of. But really in the seasonal and understanding the times and the seasons. And let me pause. The reason why I speak so much about that particular calendar, the Hebrew calendar, is because God ordained times for us to heal in those seasons. And in my essential oil group, I'll be speaking about actually probably this week, starting in July. It's more of a hot season. So we want to care for our heart. We want to really take care of cooling our body system so that we can be healed in those aspects. In any case, as we dive into fall, you should be preparing right now for the fall, for all of that. So we're going to start with our words. We're going to start with speaking affirmations that give life. Yes, Terry, I love that you said that. I'm going to pause and say, learning about what we're supposed to eat in seasons. Yes. When Zion had cancer, it dawned on me as we started studying, or I started researching healing foods, ways to heal cancer. And I thought, oh my word. Well, that's why apples are available in the fall. Apples literally have everything you need. If you were so broke and you could only eat a couple of things, if you had apples, avocados, and some yummy whole wheat bread, your body would be set because it has every nutrient that you ever need. Shoot, throw in some Ningxia Red and you could be a marathon runner. So those are awesome. In the summer, as I taught eating your sunscreen, that class, well, now is the time that blackberries and blueberries and raspberries and strawberries are in season. You guys, this is going to boost your natural immune system and your internal sunscreen. It's incredible. It's just incredible. Peaches. Also, strawberries have more vitamin C than oranges do. And so if you eat a lot of strawberries now, you're going to fortify your cells so that your immune system, right? You see how this works. But then we also have oranges in the wintertime. Anyway, I'm totally digressing. But I love that you said that, Terry, because one of the affirmations that you could choose is, I choose food for my body type. I choose appropriate food for my body type. I eat foods for the right seasons. This may sound a little silly to say, why do I need to create a whole affirmation? Because when you go to the market, you're not going to be inclined to grab a can of beets or a can of green beans. You're going to look for fresh. It's just how your mind works. I was sharing with my daughter today about speaking life, and it's funny, when she turned 18, we've gone through all these things. I thought, did you not listen to anything I taught you the last 18 years? Because there's decisions that she now has to make as an adult. And one of them was about speaking life and really calling out what isn't as though it were, and all of that. And she said, well, Mom, when they do, well, Mom, and they kind of roll their eyes. I'm like, okay, maybe you've only heard it 10 times. We got to do 2 more. Okay, no big deal. But I said to her, if I am going to say I have, I'm a millionaire, let's just say, just because that's across the board. Well, I can't say that and then just sit here on my chair and then eat a sandwich. I say that, and then I will ask the questions, what would it take to do that? What do I need to do? What are some ideas? And just ruminate on that. Another thing is, if I say, which I have said for years and years and years, I walk in perfect health. I walk in perfect health is one of my favorite affirmations to speak, because when I go to the market, I remember that in my mind because I've said it so many times. I say it to my children. They walk in perfect health. I'll say, I don't know why your body's fevering. You walk in perfect health, so we need to dive into the emotion and just see what we need to pull out when they've had fevers. But when I go to the market, I'm so drawn to life-giving foods because I've read and I've studied, well, what are life-giving foods? What creates perfect health? That's what my body's trying to get back to. It's trying to get back to the Garden of Eden, always. So I'm going to help it along. Journaling, I want to share this because I've had a few messages like, I'm behind in journaling, or some have not necessarily wanted to take my biblical freedom course because they're concerned, because I talk so much about journaling that I think they are concerned that, okay, if I don't journal, am I going to get anything out of this class? And of course, my answer is no, not at all. And I've tried to work it so that, not tried, I have worked it actually so that whether you journal or whether you don't, you can do anything that I offer. But I want to be very clear about what journaling is and what it isn't. Journaling isn't always having this cute little journal and sitting down every single day and writing a few pages with a nice date. It also isn't always this notebook. This notebook is just my diffuser recipes, actually. Diffuser blend recipe that I find on Pinterest or whatever. What journaling is it's a reminder, another reminder. So journaling can be this legal pad. I have several pages here, actually. The one right on the top here, I've got people that I'm praying for, just kids that came to my mind from Massachusetts. I've got a Bible verse written underneath it, a couple of them to speak over these children. And then on the next page, just a vision casting idea that I had. And then there's 3 pages of just sort of a brain dump journaling. But this I'll just keep around, and when I'm ready to throw it away, then I will, after I've looked through it and really gleaned and know that it's committed to my memory, I'll throw it away, burn it, whatever. Journaling can also be a sticky note that you put on your mirror or on your computer or in your purse or in your wallet, right? Index card, that type of thing. My most recent favorite way to journal is, I'll show you, I don't know if you can see, but I have 2. I stole one of my children's now. Now I have 2 dry erase boards. I feel like my whole wall, if I could build a house or if I could remodel a house custom to me, I'd want my walls, at least 2 really big walls, to be dry erase boards. Like that would be one of the biggest dreams I'd ever have, because I could just write. And my thoughts are just out there so I could see it, and they're constant reminders. The reason why journaling is so powerful and so helpful for remembering and getting things done is because most people are either visual learners and or kinetic learners. I think that's the word. If I'm wrong, if it's not kinetic, then please correct me. It is, right? Okay, thank you, Terry. The visual learners, to write it out, your eyes see the words, right? Your eyes will see, like I wrote the word reminders on my notes because that's what I wanted you guys to hear the most. So I will not forget that because I wrote it out. Tactile, right? That's I was wondering if it was kinetic and or tactile. For people who are kinetic or tactile learners, it's a physical, it's a touchy way, right? When you are a kinetic learner, you have to feel things, you have to do it. you learn by experience. Well, you're not necessarily going to learn by experience by writing out ways to eat healthy. But what you will do is you will, with your pen and paper, write it out, green peppers, tomatoes. So you will be writing the word and it will seal in your mind. It's very similar to touching a tomato, just the word. And here's what's interesting. I want to share with you something that this is why I love teaching in person, because I can't do this online. Although you could, you know what, you could do this with your family or spouse or something after I share it. Maybe you guys could do it on each other, but it's like this. If you take an index card, okay, and you wrote, if you wrote love on one, and then you wrote hate on the other, and flip them over, mix it up so you didn't know which was which, and hold it next to your chest or on your person, and had someone muscle test you. If you guys ever do muscle testing or have had it done, if you do that, when you hold the word hate, this is such a trip, you guys. I'm not even joking. You should really do this. But when you hold the word hate, your body will go weak and limp. When you hold the word love, your arm will stand strong. Or if you do it on yourself, right? If you can do muscle testing on yourself and just do it with the fingers, you'll hold more strong, obviously, with the word love. I share that with you because as you're writing, not only, especially if you're writing life-giving words, not only is it kinetic, tactile, and helping you feel what you're thinking about, but if you're writing words that are high frequency, you're literally going to feel it. And it's going to raise your frequency. It is so powerful. Journaling is simply a way to connect our affirmations or our thoughts. This is why, music writers, people who are so gifted in music, you can tell which way they're using their gift by how they physically look. Someone who's a writer and a singer, let's say, who writes only life-giving words, affirmations, will have a different look to them. Someone who doesn't, there's just a look about them. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm one of those people that can just see that in people. But it's just a different look. Same thing with authors. One of, who is that? Stephen King. Have you ever seen him in person? Like, he is not easy on the eyes. I don't think he always looked that way. You know what I mean? But there's some people that, and they don't necessarily have to write anything biblical or anything, but just something that's just so life-giving and so lovely. They just have a different look about them. It's really interesting. It's just something to be thinking through as you ponder journaling or affirmations. The one thing I don't ever want anyone to feel is that they should journal or they are not good at it. Or what are some of the other words I hear? Like, I should be better about journaling. I mean, there is no should, oughts, or any of that. It's just one of those things that it's you say to yourself, this will bring me life. This will bring me more life if I do it. Not that it's going to bring you less life if you don't. It's another way to seal in your visions and your dreams. One of the ways as we walked through, I mean, it's the one that we talked about is a vision, doing a vision board. I have right over here a new vision board, and I actually have began, rather than writing, journaling, and even on a vision board, I used to do like, cut out pictures, magazines, all this kind of stuff, but shoot, with Pinterest, it's so hard to even want a magazine. But on my phone, it's not tactile enough for me. And I'm really not a visual learner. I'm a doer. So when I write on my board, I write it out. One of the things I have written on my board is a house of prayer, healing for all the nations. That is what I want my home to feel like and to be like. So I write it. But another thing that I do is I draw. I love art. It's just what I do. But I would never tell somebody, well, you need to draw, because immediately everyone who is traumatized by art in their public school years will be like, I can't draw, which I'll just say this, that's a lie. Or, saying you're not artistic in any way is a lie, because we have a creator and we're kind of made in his image. So there's that. But I would never do that because it's so triggering to some. But I'm just saying that's how I journal now, is I draw. It's so powerful. However you can get pen, pencil, marker, whatever, to a paper or a dry erase board, it's amazing. The last reason why I'm like a dog with a bone with journaling is it's not necessarily for you. It's for the future. We live in a generation, I would say my generation and now my children's generation. I heard a pastor call it the Hezekiah generation. And if you're not familiar with who Hezekiah was in the Bible, I'll just share with you. He was a king, and he wasn't a really good one. And the Lord had said, you know what, it's going to be fine with you, but with your children, there's going to be this calamity, because basically of all the nonsense that's been done in your time. And his response was, oh, good. Well, at least it's not in my time. And the thing is that my generation and now my children, it's very instant. It's very now. What can we have now? What can we do now? And we don't have a thought about future. So to think that this journaling is for the future is really beyond us. And I find those of my mom's generation don't want to journal because they're terrified that the future generations will read it. I would give my right arm, I'm not even joking when I say that, I feel that strongly, if I had a journal for my grandma. What, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't even care what she would say. Just to read her words, oh my word, that would be incredible. So when we say, well, I don't want to write it because after I die, I'm scared to death someone's going to read it. What would they think? That's so, I'll just say it. It's selfish. It's self-centered, and it's being like a Hezekiah generation. It's not thinking about how can my words bless the future. It's not prideful to think that. Not at all. I write so much I have 3 different blogs going. I actually have a 4th that I haven't published because it's actually just for me, just messing around. But I write so much on different topics because I know someday I won't be on this earth anymore. And I want people who are looking for whatever it is I'm talking about to find something life-giving. I know my words speak to somebody. I do so many videos on YouTube because now YouTube is a way of journaling. It's a way of reminding. It's just telling a story. And I know at least at minimum, my children will know my blog numbers. My children will know my YouTube site. They'll have those videos. Wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't you guys give anything to have a blog and YouTube for the World War II generation? Think about it. And they probably were like, I'm just doing it because they're so into their own lives. They wouldn't have necessarily thought to write it down. But we have this amazing opportunity to write, to speak life, to affirm what we're doing. I'll go so far. I know this isn't about videos, but to create videos For the longest time, I think my mom kept a recording, maybe it was my grandpa or something, on a videotape, and I think she might even still have it, but every time she hears his voice, it's like, oh, it's so amazing. Writing is that way too. When I write, when I go back, sometimes I'm like, ooh, how whiny was I that day? Or yeah, that was amazing. That day was good. Or I go back and say, I see how God answered that. That was cool. I'm not even worried about that anymore. It's so powerful. And know that it's also for the future. I want to encourage you all to not be a Hezekiah generation. Aside from emotional health, well, I guess it goes along with emotional health. I'll say this. A couple reasons why I talk so much about emotions. Number one, it helps you have a better life, like plain and simple. Number two, it helps you walk in the purpose that God has for you. And the last is that way the third thing is you pass along a legacy of health and wholeness and vitality in your spirit, in your soul, and in your body for the next generation. Whether they're your children, your spiritual children, the neighbor children. We're not meant to be on this planet just for us. I hope you all realize that. And we're not necessarily meant to just minister and love on our immediate family, whatever that looks like. We're meant to change a generation. And when you read the scriptures, if you read history, there are so many people who walked their life in such a way that they literally changed a town or they changed a nation. Sometimes you don't hear about these people because somebody else is telling their story. It's actually one of the reasons why I love that movie Hamilton so much. I didn't really care about Alexander Hamilton. And did you know, this is good, this will help you hopefully journal or write stuff down. They were about to take out the $10 bill either out of circulation or take his picture off of it, one of the two. Until the play came out. Not the book, the play. It was so popular and it really told his story in such a way that it caused people to see one of the founding fathers of our nation in a different light, good or bad. They didn't want to take it. They want to still have that memorialized. It's pretty powerful. And I wonder how many of our grandparents, had they written down their war stories or, whatever, how would we be different as a nation now? Look, I'll get real deep on you guys because I'm laughing. I thought, oh, we'll just do this 30 minutes. Now we're going to go off on a tangent. But how much different would our nation be? We say, oh, we didn't learn from the other generation. We're not learning. Well, maybe they didn't pass it down enough. We can't necessarily learn from the Anne Franks and the Corrie ten Boom, just two women, or the Doolittle Raiders, or Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I mean, there's just a handful that we know of. But World War II is called the greatest generation for a reason, and yet we have a handful of books from these folks. What if we were meant to write, journal, affirm? Again, create something for the future. Don't just live for the now. Know that everything you say may not be heard if it's not written down. If you do videos, great. But there's something powerful about the written word that lasts for generations and generations. I have a book on my desk that has been around for a few millennia. The Bible is the best-selling book of all time. Now, granted, your word may not be right in line with God's word, but I guarantee it's right up there. Yeah, I saw that, Sherry. She says the last soldier who liberated those in Nazi camps just died at 98. The last one. It's really interesting. As I study the scriptures, just one of the things I think, which, I know that there's other writings, but it makes me think, gosh, I wish they would talk more about how they use oils. But it was so commonplace that they wouldn't, it's like, it's what we do. I mean, they did this, yeah, this anointing oil, it's this measurement, the priest do this and such. But like when Jesus sends out the people to cast out demons and heal the sick, and they had oils, is the only thing they were allowed to have with them. I thought, did they put it on them? Did they throw it in like holy water? Did they have to diffuse it? Which I know they didn't have to diffuse it, but you know what I mean? I'm just sort of thinking, could you have at least written that down? Just stuff I think about that helps me want to journal more. But remember, journaling is more than just getting this book and sitting down for a half hour every day. It's a whiteboard. It's a legal pad. It's a vision board. It's whatever you can write down so that you remember, so that your children remember.